Can you recognise how difficult life can be for someone that suffers from a phobia? A phobia is an irrational fear of something in everyday life that causes a person an immense amount of distress and often leads to severe anxiety and depression. In the UK alone, it is estimated that around 10 million people suffer from phobias. That is 15.07% of the population that have phobias taking control of their life. I have suffered from emetophobia my whole life. Therefore, in this documentary, it is important for me to educate people on this topic and create an understanding for what a phobia is. Hi, I'm Morgan. I am 21 years old and I study filmmaking at Nottingham Trent, and I'm currently directing this documentary. I suffer from a phobia called emetophobia, which is the fear of sick and vomit.
So my name is Eleanor Higgins, I'm 20 years old and I'm a Nottingham Trent uni student. So I suffer from acrophobia and claustrophobia. Claustrophobia is a fear of small confined spaces and acrophobia is a fear of heights.
So I'm Holly Davis, I'm 19. At the moment I'm studying games art at NTU. I have emetophobia, which is a fear of vomiting or being sick, being around people who are things like that.
I'm Taya, I'm 22 and I'm a student. Overall, I would say it's just fear of contamination, so which is mysophobia, which is like fear of germs. But yeah, it like affects what I eat, what I breathe in. It just makes me feel like things in everyday life are contaminating me.
Me and my sister used to have like high-rise bed. They had like desks underneath, and we used to like be next to each other. And she used to get sick all the time when we were younger. So very often in the middle of the night she would throw up over the side of the bed, and I would have to watch that as a kid, and it was very traumatic.
One memory that was very significant again was the clubbing one. It was a lot of like, you had all the smoke in the club, all the lights were flashing, loud music, and we was next to the speakers, so the bass was really like going through my system, and then obviously having no space to even like move or just dance. And then I ended up passing out on my mate. I knew I was going to go, so I went in for a hug, passed out, and then had to get fireman lifted out the club. And then I went back again a couple of weeks later and didn't pass out. It just triggered my anxiety to where I was in the smoking area of the club and basically looked like I was having a fit, and I had no idea what this was at the time, and then obviously went to the doctors about it.
Well, after when I was in primary school, when I was in year 6, there was time I was taking a test thing in one of my classes, and I felt really, really unwell. But I couldn't really step away. I was trying to get it done and stuff like that. Funnily enough, I ended up getting a perfect mark on that. But that was one time where I vomited in front of a lot of people because I ended up, like at break time, I ended up going into the bathroom and I didn't make it there. Even looking back now, even though it was years ago, almost a decade ago, it's mortifying, and it still, stresses me out. The idea of being unwell in front of anyone really, really stresses me out. And yeah, it's not pleasant to look back on, and by any means.
It's the earliest experience that I can remember was I was quite young. I'd say I was about 6. My mum's friend has children around my age, and I was at their house for a birthday party. There was like a table of food, sandwiches, crisps, biscuits and all that, and all the kids were like lined up with their like paper plates and gonna get all their party food, and I was the only one who was really conscious of and was very aware and tunnel visioned on the fact that everyone's touching all the food, and kids were like looking in the sandwiches like, oh, what's in this one, and like there was like a bowl of crisps, and people were like, the kids were like putting their hands in, and I was just like watching and freaking out, and I was just like, I can't eat that. Okay, yeah, they've touched that, I can't eat that.
When I'm experiencing a panic attack, let's say that I feel ill, I think I'm gonna be sick, I drink water, I try and get someone to distract me, I do breathing exercises, but the main one really is just staying around people. Like when I'm alone with my thoughts, like things get into my head and I'm like sat there alone, like, oh my God, you're gonna be sick.
So when I deal with my claustrophobia, most of the time I do get it a bit on trams. I had one the other week on trams. I put on my headphones. They're noise cancelling anyway, but obviously playing music also helps. I listen to music a lot to chill me out, but also just noise cancelling. So I just put them on, no music, and I can just muffle out the sounds around me, so I'm not concentrating on people's conversations or how close they are to me or how packed it is. I can just focus on myself with white noise, basically. Or if I'm at home, I have a colouring book and I colour in my colouring book to de-stress myself.
So sometimes when I'm cooking with my mates, say I've had like a bag of cheese that's been open a couple of days, and I'm like, oh god, I don't really know if I trust this. Like I'll just say to my mates, like I'll be like, can you just tell me this won't be sick? And they'll usually be like, yeah, you'll be fine, and that can really help me. Other than that, like just coping on a daily basis, I do a lot of gaming in my spare time. That's something that really just helps me calm down and kind of ground myself. And same with art, as much as now it's become a bit of a stress because of like coursework and stuff like that's required. It allows me to get kind of some feeling out somehow, like something kind of down on paper and out of my brain, I suppose.
There's definitely things that can help. I think it's a lot easier said than done when you're physically faced with the phobia and it's right in front of you and something is going on at that time. It's very difficult to distract yourself because you're so focused on it and it's kind of like tunnel vision. I kind of like disassociate and struggle to know what's reality or if I'm back at that point again. With like a lot of things, with like a lot of traumatic things, but with like phobias as well, if something is kind of like traumatized you, it's difficult to be in contact with reality if you feel like you're going back to that place and you're reliving that situation again, and I'll have the physical reactions that I did at that time as well. But something that I do to be back in touch with reality, I'm back in the room, I'm not there, I'm here right now, it's just like grounding yourself. So, you know, the basic things like what I can see, what I can hear, what I can smell, you focus on your breathing, I'm here right now, I'm present in the room.